Hello everyone, Digital Sticks here, and yeah, I just have been saying a lot, or I made a point in several of my recent videos that I don't expect to have a lot to contribute to the VR technology discussion going forward, but I do want to express an opinion about the latest thing that's in my news feed today about Zuckerberg confirming that another headset is, I can't remember how it was worded, but basically almost like, essentially like they already have the Quest 3. Well underway, which is not a surprise to me. If it's something truly innovative, that might be surprising, but chances are it's going to be another stair-step upgrade. And the reason I want to comment on that is I've made this point about the value of the Index versus the Quest, specifically, or the Rift S. Basically, every product that Facebook has put out after the CV1, which the CV1 was actually produced and launched, or close to launch, or well underway for launch by Oculus, the actual company, not just Oculus, the brand. But everything that Facebook has launched since, and even more so since establishing, um, since making it even more clear that Oculus is just a brand, not a company in any sense of the word anymore, has been a gimmick in some way or another. Every single headset has involved compromises off of the headset that came before it. They give you something and then they take stuff away. And then the whole point has been steering towards a cheaper price, which is somewhat effective for the alleged goal of mass adoption, which, I mean, they do have a goal of mass adoption for sure, but let's face it, it's also about cheap and gimmick as well, because uh, there is a key, there is a reason to put out quality to encourage adoption as well. And the the thing is VR is more valuable than just as a gaming device. Um, and even ironically, I say that because of a game, VR chat specifically. But it has the potential to be a really meaningful way of social connection. And I know Facebook has their aspirations to try to. They do hope to corner that in some time. I don't know what their big delays are for Horizon and all that. They do seem to be struggling to actually get to that part of their game, but probably because they're too busy making cheap devices and trying to trap people to actually stop and do full-on legitimate development. I don't know. But anyways, yeah. So very likely, if not, 2022 or sooner, there's going to be a Quest 3, and it's going to be on the same platform. And in the quote, Zuckerberg is saying that it's still going to be compatible uh, with Quest 2 content, but he specifically said Quest 2 content. So be on the lookout for the Quest 1 to be discontinued that soon, and that's part of what they're doing. This is giving them the opportunity to build in obsolescence. So by rapidly producing cheap junk, they're also rapidly forcing people's hands to buy another round of cheap junk. Well, if you buy into the Oculus ecosystem past a certain point, then even if you catch on to that, even if you start to despise that, you're further away from being able to change direction without it costing you a lot. The If your whole library is linked to your Facebook account and all of that, and you're going to lose access to it or convenient access to it by switching devices, that's a big hesitation to switch devices. So, case in point, I'm using my original Rift right now, and also that's why my microphone quality hasn't been quite as good. Uh, I think I could have improved it if I adjust sound settings and all that. I've just let it go for now. But anyways, I get my index is coming back to me today, so future content will be back using the index most likely. Although if you look at my other videos, I've not. I this original CV1. I'm still a fan of it. if not for Facebook, honestly. Um, but and as a tangent, as a side note, I don't want Oculus software back on my main gaming PC. Period. But I don't want to be spied on. I don't want the resources used up. I don't want it launching all the time, and all of that. But all of those considerations aside, the other thing I've been reminded of and just taken aback by is just it's freaking spamware, man. As soon as I launch anything, Oculus app is full screen, bloated with advertisements for games from their game store and stuff, and it stays full screen. I minimize it. Usually you can minimize it and it stay minimized, and you're just kind of hoping that's conserving some resources. But I minimize it, and when I'm back in my game, it's back full screen. On my PC, like if I click it, it's automatically popping up full screen. And that's just a resource hog. It's annoying as all get out. It's very abrasive since I've been free of that. With Steam VR, you launch Steam VR, you don't even get any kind of advertisements shoved in your face. The store doesn't open with your menu or anything. You've got access to all of that. You can certainly shop within VR. On one wall, you've got a in the Steam VR home, you've got a list of games that are popular. The most popular free games, the most popular free games. Imagine that. The most popular multiplayer games, the most popular single player games. But you've got it. I mean, one of the categories is free games. Hey, check this out. Not even to sell you something. But you can access the store from your pop up and all that. But with the Oculus app, the store's right in your face. Like I remember when I switched to Steam VR, to the index and stuff. One of the things I thought I was going to miss was the Oculus dashboard. It seemed like the Oculus, but it was because it's what I was introduced to, and really before ever getting into using Steam VR at all. And so the Oculus dashboard seemed like it had it going on, and definitely, and probably even, or maybe still, maybe not, but or for some reason for me, Steam VR, I haven't been able to launch the keyboard for Steam VR as a desktop view, so that's been a little less useful lately, but it's not a big deal to me. But the Oculus dashboard, the desktop view inside that used to work much better, be more useful than the one in Steam VR. And for a while, the one in Steam VR was completely broken. That's been fixed for a while now too. But now it's all switched. In Steam VR, I open that dashboard, and it has features I need and want and can actually use, and that the Oculus doesn't even have. I mean, I open the Steam VR dashboard a lot, and it's very easy to navigate my library. It's easy to update my advanced settings. It's easy to update my settings for my headset, switching resolution, screen. I have control of my VR experience. Oculus doesn't give you that control. I pop up the Oculus dashboard, and even in a game, the first thing that it pops up to is full screen in my face, their app store trying to sell me crap, and when I click away from it, that pops up again incidentally. It's just annoying as all get out, and that's just that's part of why they sell you a cheap gadget. That's part of where they're making up for selling you a cheap gadget, and it's just so much better, guys, if you get into VR with a device that was sold at a fair price to deliver, and it was built and designed to be something that you would enjoy and want as a VR enthusiast user, instead of as a pawn, or instead of where you are the customer instead of the merchandise. Okay, with Facebook, you're the merchandise. Even though you spend your money to get yourself locked into them, you're still the merchandise. You're not the customer. With Valve, you're the customer, and with any other manufacturer, you're the customer. Of course, nobody else is really in the game right now other than Valve, and in a meaningful way, current gen, than Valve and Oculus. Hopefully that changes, and it should change. But yeah, anyways. Okay, so while I've enjoyed the CV1 and I am letting people know it is a great VR experience, it is still a good way to do VR, especially for an introductory headset and all of that. there are a lot of reasons why I moved on, and Facebook is just simply adding an exclamation point to that moving on with every move they make. So that's also why I'm not planning on making a lot of VR content going forward. While the key to success is hyping cheap gimmicks in Facebook, and I mean, I'm not going to participate. Uh, to counter that just makes me seem negative and cynical, and I'm really just simply being honest. And so, if that's what it takes to become anything uh, worthwhile on the tech review front, just count me out. So if I do have an opinion like this one, I'm going to share it once in a while, but I'm not making a push for it. I'm not going to start buying devices just to be in the loop. I don't have enough following to justify that, but it really doesn't take that big of a channel to reach a point that you make a decent profit in return off of buying headsets, even without a sponsorship. You know, the free product from the manufacturers is not the end all deal. The thing that's significant about free products from manufacturers for the reviewers is when they get preview devices, when they get to be one of the first people with the device. And so while people will tell you they don't get paid for their opinions, that is one hell of a payday to get a free device while everyone's desperate to know about it and wishes they could get a hold of it. That is the payday. That is the reason why they won't tell you their true, raw, honest opinion of these devices. That is why they use index headsets almost exclusively while making you think a $300 device is the best deal ever in VR. If it was the best deal ever in VR, they wouldn't have spent $1,000 on their headset out of their own pocket when they could have simply used the one they received for free. Follow me on that? There's a reason they don't use the one they get for free, except for making content. That's all it's good for them. They have much better. So if you have a limited budget, that's a reality that many of us face. But there is still the reality that there's a reason why some things are cheap, some things cost more. And Facebook releasing another headset very soon is going to get all hyped up. Oh, it's so great, it's so great, it's so great. The problem is they're just simply moving along at a rapid pace to attract more and more people, keep the hype train going, and all of that. But the truth is that is not that is not the way to do business properly in this industry where it's at right now. That's going to help build Facebook, but Facebook is building Facebook in case people still aren't paying attention. They have built a store that is a very compelling market for VR game producers. It is dominating the market. It's where you can go to get the most return on the game you make for now. But it's also a very controlled ecosystem, and Facebook is very clearly stealing ideas and copying ideas and competing with, off of that stolen information, their own producers. And they're causing issues. For example, Big Screen doing game rentals and what Facebook's taken from that, and that Facebook trying to launch their, there's the stories are out there. They are anti-competitive, and that does not end well for consumers. Just be aware of that. And the point to this today is, if you bought an index at launch, you are still happy with your index today, providing it's still working. And if it's not working, chances are you got your money's worth out of it before something failed irreplaceably or whatever. So, and Valve, their RMA process has been amazing. Their customer service has been amazing. It does seem like there are some snags and quality issues that come up with the index that are less than to be desired, but they stand good for the product, and it's not everybody. So, as good as they are with the product, if you stay on top of things and don't let something slide too much during your warranty period, you should be able to get it rectified. There's a strong chance you're going to end up with a quality headset that's going to last you quite a while. But what also lasts a while with the index, what's still there, is it's still the best headset to have. Period. Complete headset. Some people are, you could try to talk about a hybrid G2 and all that, but you still, that's only practical if you already had a base index kit. Otherwise, you're talking about spending $1,300 for a piece together system. So the index is still it. And right now, at the rate it's going, the only one that's going to replace the index with something worth replacing it with is going to be Valve themselves. So if you start to add up the price of all these gimmicks to go from one little step to one little step to one little step on the between the Rift S and the Quest 2, and now a Quest 3, or whatever, plus you consider the fact that you now have to have a Facebook account, you're being spied on, you get spammed every which way you go, and you have compromises and resources on all of that. Because of that, your headset is uncomfortable and all of that. You've spent more for that experience than you would have by investing in an index. Now, if you don't have a PC capable of VR, you're not part of this discussion. The Quest 2 as a standalone device is pretty impressive VR. Nobody can knock it. Nobody can tell you that you should sit out of VR entirely instead of getting one of those. If you're concerned about your privacy and all of that, that's a personal preference. But as far as the VR quality you get without having a gaming PC, it's not in dispute. But if you have a VR-capable PC, there is so much better than the gimmicks and games that Facebook is playing. And if you could wise up to that and make sure that you make a good decision for yourself, you're actually helping to help encourage a much better VR future than the one that Facebook is trying to create. And you'll see this even from the content creators that are willing to play the hype game. They're also, in other videos, carefully and selectively, but undeniably, trying to counter the reality that they see with Facebook. And they're not very, their honest opinion doesn't validate their review opinions. So, they do carefully wiggle around trying to justify their endorsements on one front while trying to also at least salvage their credibility by acknowledging the very obvious terrible downside to Facebook on the other. And I'd say skip all those games and get to the fact that quality VR doesn't have you locked in to a social platform. Quality VR doesn't have you trapped to having to buy one gimmick after another. Quality VR doesn't leave you needing an upgrade for experience purposes every year and a half. Quality VR lasts, and people are still using the CV1. And as I said, I definitely think it's a very valid device even now, other than the fact that the regression of Facebook is also taken away from their existing devices too. But it's because it was a quality device, has quality features, and makes for a quality experience. And literally, the stuff that's being offered, the gimmicks that people are getting into VR with now, somebody on that quality device can look at and be like, I'm not putting up with that. The field of view on the CV1 is far better than the field of view on the original Quest. And then I've heard that the field of view is no better on the Quest 2 than it was on the original Quest. So, I mean, that's pathetic, but and that's part of what makes this, the original Rift it has a limited field of view, but it doesn't feel like binoculars where the Quest does. That's backwards. There's no interest in progressing VR with that. That is cutting corners for Facebook's self-serving interest. So now I'm going to start to ramble off onto more tangents, but this news today that there's already essentially a Quest 3 in the, that something would be under development is not a mystery, but I didn't realize the wording of it was going to skip my mind to this point. But it was worded and covered in such a way that it really seems to imply that a Quest 3 is right around the corner. Like it's not there. This is not, like, more so than it should be, this close to the Quest 2 launch, honestly. Like, if they really put their all in on the Quest 2, the state of the industry and all of that, there wouldn't be this much progress on a replacement, because that's just not the way technology works. There would be some progress, there'd be some things in between with, but to have an idea of what the complete product is going to be, it just shows you the rush to put stuff out is intentional, And that takes away from the incentive to put out quality and value. Because if you leave the value on the shelf and you leave people wanting, then you throw them out another gimmick and they snatch it. But if you have people content, they don't snatch your next gimmick. So they're actually, that, at least in my opinion, they are purposely holding back. They're purposely cutting corners and all of that, because that is turning around and serving them again anyway. So until people wise up to this is what's going to keep happening. And basically, anytime you buy a Facebook product, expect within less than 2 years to feel like you're left behind. And that's been the status since Facebook has taken over. Expect that to continue. And that gets very expensive. And suddenly, the index for $1,000 has been the absolute best value in VR post CV1. Because that's the only device that someone could have bought in 2019 that they're still using in 2021, and that's not going to be obsolete or left behind in 2022. Whether Index 2 comes out or not, you're not getting left behind with an Index 1. In fact, chances are the majority of us are so far behind the curve on GPU power that we have so much room to expand just within the Index that we still aren't really in the market reasonably for another headset. So there are reasons why some people, even with PCVR, prefer an Index. There's certainly reasons, or a Quest. There's reasons why people have one as a secondary device. But to have it as your only headset, or to have it because you think it's the best value for PCVR today, that is really a result of being misled, honestly. Because that's not really what Facebook's even attempting to provide. They want to provide that impression and reap the benefits of having that impression out there, but that is not the product that they're even concerned with designing, because if they designed that product, then they couldn't turn around and have you recycle everything on the next one. If their products have longevity, then that's, they can't cancel out other products and force people's hands to go forward. So by having short generations, they can have short lifespans as well. Deliberately intentional obsolescence for older devices. So they couldn't really do that with PCVR. As you see, you can still use the CV1. But on a mobile platform that's completely dependent on them, they absolutely can pull the plug, and they can justify it by restraining content to the capabilities of the Quest 1. They are holding back the potential of the Quest 3. And there'll be some validity to that, but they also did that by design. That a 3-year span between 2 generations of devices is not a reasonable lifespan for this technology. Anyways, I'm Digital Sticks, and I am out. If you like these opinions on tech, this is kind of what I bring to the table. But anyways, I'm out. Thank you.